Okay, today we're going to talk about brand values. We got to talk about what they are, why they matter to your firm, and how you can create some for your company that will really drive all of your brand moving forward. I think it's really important that we start with what they are. They are the foundational pillars of your brand. And what I mean by that is they are like the fundamental beliefs that drive all of your decisions when you are doing business, right? So this is fundamental, most core element of your brand. I would say this is the closest thing to DNA that your brand has, those foundational pillars that are the values, the beliefs that drive your business and all of your decisions on why you're going to do something or how you're going to do it or why you're not going to do it this way and instead you're going to do it this way because you have fundamental ways that you believe the world should work, that your business should work, and how you're going to go about doing business with other people. So let's talk a little bit more about that. I'd even argue these are what your brand fights for, right? So when you're thinking about like hills we're going to die on, that's probably one of your brand values. If it's something that you're willing to negotiate or you're willing to sacrifice in order to get where you want to go, probably not one of your brand values, right? Because you're willing to negotiate. You're willing to say, no, it doesn't really matter to us today. These are things that are going to span the test of time. They're going to be really important to your business for a long time, probably one of your brand values. So think about that as you're thinking about what do we really believe in our business? What are the things that you really fight for? That you come back to the table over and over and over and say, we will not do it that way because we believe this is the right way to do it. This is the way our company does this. This is how our brand works. This is how we do business here. Might be done different somewhere else, but here we do it this way. Those are the things you want to be thinking about as you're putting together or you're really communicating your brand values, both within your organization and externally beyond your organization. Let's talk about a couple examples here. I want to just throw something out and see, could this be one of your brand values? Why or why not? What would make it better or what would make it say, I don't know if that's really us. So let's start with the word honesty. Is this one of your brand values? Let's think about that word for a minute. So honesty, that means like telling the truth, a truthfulness that extends throughout all the things that you do. Candor may be another word that you might want to use, or truth saying, or just the truth. Maybe you just value the truth. But is honesty is it a brand value? And I would argue, yeah, it could be. It could very well be one of your brand values. It's intrinsic to your business. It tells you how you're going to do business. Hopefully it's not changing. If that's the case, then definitely don't make it one of your brand values. And it's something that you can evaluate every single action, behavior, and decision that you make through the lens of honesty. All right. So there's one example. We can kind of look at it different ways and evaluate, is this really a value? Is this something we really hold high in our business? And if you don't, that's okay. You don't have to hold everything at the highest level to the brand value level. You can say, oh, maybe it's down here. It's below something else. A great question to ask anytime you're trying to discover what are your brand values as an organization is, we did X. Why did we do it that way? Why did we make that decision? Why did we go down that path? Okay, we really value honesty. And so we were completely honest with our client and it even cost us some money. Okay, why? Is there some deeper reason behind why you were fully honest with that client? Maybe it was, well, actually what really drives our honesty is that we so value the client relationship. We so want them to trust us and we want to trust them and we want there to be this great trust and value in us that we are willing to be honest even when it hurts. Okay, now we're getting to a brand value. Maybe that trust, that relationship aspect, the goal of getting that trust and having that kind of relationship with your client is at the heart of your honesty. So honesty could be at the top level, it could be one of your brand values, or maybe it falls below relationship. So that's a couple ways you can think about it. Here's another potential value. You could be evaluating your values and say, is profitability one of our brand values? For some businesses, some brands, that might absolutely be the case. But I want you to think about profitability for a minute. Is it something that you are willing to sacrifice? In all situations, are you going to hold to maximizing profitability in every single situation? I would probably argue, if you're like most businesses I've worked with, there are situations where you are willing to sacrifice profitability for some other greater value, greater goal, greater objective that you have. You can even take the example of a company like Amazon. For over 15 years, Jeff Bezos would write shareholder letters arguing why the company was not profitable and how that was to the benefit of the shareholders in the long run. That is amazing. Those shareholders don't care about anything other than profitability, or they shouldn't. And yet he was able to convince them that Amazon stood for something even greater than profitability, at least in the 15 years, right? Now, they are very focused on profitability in certain lines of their business, but not in every line. So I would not actually put profitability at the top level, at the highest level of brand values for Amazon. There are other things that they hold higher across their organization. So you can think about profitability as maybe a metric of success, a goal that you might have, or maybe it's something that's very important for a certain part of your business, but not necessarily for all of it for all time in every situation. Maybe for certain service lines, profitability is not the most important thing in doing that part of your business. Maybe that's just, this is how we get clients in the door. And so we have a service line that's not about maximizing profitability. It's about being really easy and accessible for clients. So think about that as you're thinking through, what are your brand values, right? The things that you hold most highly that endure throughout all of your organization. All right, so what about another one? What about authenticity? Could authenticity be one of your brand values? It might be. If it's really true about who you are, that you as an organization always want to be authentic, you want to be true to yourselves, never be fake, never be false, never be forced in any kind of way, in the way that you express yourselves. Maybe you even hold that high for the people that you help, your clients, your customers, the people that are giving you the money in exchange for all of your services and products. Then maybe yes, authenticity should be one of your brand values. What about another one? What about success? This one comes up a lot. Is success one of your brand values? Well, let's talk about that for a minute. Is it always at the top end of your objective in every single relationship, in every single activity of your business that you have success? If so, absolutely, put that at the top. Now, if it's not, if there are other things you really value beyond success, and obviously that word comes with a lot of different meanings and people interpret it differently, so that might be part of your process. Make sure you really understand what you mean by that, success. But if it is not what you hold most high, it is not one of your brand values, or it shouldn't be at least. All right. So how do you know? How do you really know that something is one of your brand values? Well, I'm going to give you a framework, maybe some measurements to kind of evaluate, do we really believe this thing that we're saying we believe, or we really hold high this one value, we really value it in our business? Well, I want you to think about it in a few different ways. We're going to take different lenses. One would be, do all of your stakeholders care, right? So think about, like, does our leadership care about this? So let's go back to honesty. Do all of your leaders actually care about being honest in all situations? That we're going to hold this high across our organization with every single client and customer, with every single vendor? Are we going to be honest? Okay, leadership, maybe all your staff, your employees. Do your vendors care? Do you have contractors outside your business? Do they care? Do your clients care, right? Would all of your stakeholders, consider your shareholders, if you have a board or you have other owners within the business, consider them as well. Would all of these stakeholders care that honesty is one of your brand values? Would that matter to them? If not, or if a large segment of them just say, I don't care, that's not important to us. Honesty might not be the right one to use in this example. Maybe there's some better ones where you have people who are like, I don't know about that. Maybe authenticity, maybe that's one. But if they don't all care, at least a really large majority of them, then it's probably not one of your brand values. It doesn't go to the very top of the list. And again, you want your brand values to be pretty high. You want them to be top 5, top 6, maybe at the most. All right, what about another test? Will it stand the test of time? We've already talked about this a little bit, but I really want to unpack this. Will this value stand the test of time? Is it going to last? Is this something that's going to be here for a generation, maybe 2, maybe even 3, if your brand is going to last that long? Is it something that you're really focused on just right now? Maybe it's like, hey, this is a really strategic goal for us for the next 12 months, maybe the next 24 months, and then maybe we'll reset. Maybe that goal will change. If so, if it's not something that's going to last years and years, maybe even decades, I don't think it's one of your brand values. It's probably something else. It's a strategic goal maybe, or something that matters for right now. And we just need to focus on it because it's important, but it's not necessarily something that is baked into the DNA of our brand for all time. Again, think about it. If it's going to actually last, that means it is actually fundamental. It is foundational to your brand. Or think about it this way. A value that changes is thereby negotiable. If you are willing to change your brand value, oh, it matters today, but it doesn't matter next day, then it's also negotiable. People don't have to live by it. They don't have to believe it. They don't have to actually do it. They don't have to live it out. So you want to build on things that are not transient, but actually foundational and enduring. That's what you're looking for in your brand values. All right. So how do you find, or how do you discover your brand values? I think there's a lot of ways to do that. The first is just to ask yourself the question, what do we value? Right? And then ask why. Oftentimes the why leads you to a deeper value than maybe what was at the surface level. So if you're thinking like, oh, we really value these services that we have. Let's say you're an accounting firm. You really value the tax services that you offer your clients. But why? Why is tax so important to you? What about that service line? Maybe it's like, oh, we really like numbers. That's just part of who we are as an organization. We really like numbers. We like reading weird things like the IRS tax code, and we just really nerd out, and we love those things. We really value business metrics and business success. Well, that actually leads you to a deeper value than just, oh, we provide tax service, so therefore we value tax. No, maybe it's, oh, we actually really value business success, financial success for our clients, or maybe there's a regulatory component. Maybe we just really love helping think and solve big regulatory problems for our clients. Think about some of your favorite clients. What are the things that get your staff up in the morning and go, yes, I am ready to go to work. I'm excited about today. I want to go do this. What are those things that are really going to help you? A great exercise to do is just put a lot of value words on a wall or on a table, on Post-its, or in a digital document, and go through and just individually, all of your leadership team, say, which ones do you agree? Yes, this is us. This is something we really value. And what are things we disagree? Those are not our values. Those are not things that we actually hold high in our business. Narrow it down, cross-compare with each other, group them together, see if you can get it down to like 6. That's a fantastic way. But I wouldn't stop there. Because a lot of times what you as the owner or the leader, the CEO of the organization, or maybe someone in your leadership team, or you as a marketer, if you're the marketer leading this effort within your organization, sometimes what you think is right, or even within your leadership team, what your leadership team thinks is right, is not always how it plays out in the real world. So we need to ask, we need to validate, we need to go find out what people really think about the organization. So if you have your 6 words, maybe you've narrowed it down to 6 values that you believe your organization upholds highly, go ask a bunch of people. Ask all of your staff if they agree with these 6. Ask all of your clients if they agree. You can send out an email, it can be a survey, maybe do some interviews and ask them one-on-one and dig a little deeper and say, oh yeah, maybe they think, I agree with these 6, but I don't know if these are the words I would use. I would use different words, or I don't know about this one. I don't feel like I really sense that from you guys. Here's situations I've thought of where that just doesn't resonate with me. Or there's something else about your organization I really feel comes through when I interact with you in a certain way. Maybe it's like, hey, when you pick up the phone, I get a different kind of feeling than what this word says to me. So have that conversation, wordsmith things, work with your clients and your staff to understand what they mean when they're giving you that feedback, and then go back to the table and rework and rework and rework. And then what I find really helpful Is once you've got it down to the really good 6 that everyone's like, yeah, this really feels right. We see it out in the marketplace. People agree with us when we talk to them about these 6. Put some definition on them so you can start to communicate them out within your organization. I think this is so incredibly helpful for your team to really understand, wow, these are the 5 things, or these are the 6 things that we believe in and hold high and do not negotiate on at any point. Right? This is how we make decisions. This is how we do our business. And what are the behaviors that come out of that? List those out. Help people really understand when we say we believe these things, this is what it looks like when we actually live that out. This is what it looks like when we interact with clients. This is what it looks like when we interact with each other. Here are specific examples, yeses and nos, things we do, things we don't do, that help them to really internalize it and bring it to life in all of their interactions. You're gonna find this is a huge tool for your own staff. It's gonna be a huge tool for every new recruit you onboard as they get to know your brand and understand how to act appropriately within the context of your brand. And at the end of the day, it's gonna be massive for your clients and your prospects. They're actually gonna feel like, wow, you guys actually stand for things. You actually have some beliefs. You actually have fundamental yeses and nos, do's and don'ts within your business that you're not willing to negotiate on. And it's gonna bring clarity, it's gonna bring focus to everything you do. When you think about a brand, right? This identity that you're putting out in the world, the more clear and compelling you can be about what you believe and what you hold high in your business, the clearer and more compelling that brand becomes for everyone that interacts with it. If you want to attract great staff and retain them, if you want to attract great clients and retain those clients, you need a brand that actually stands for something. And that is what your brand values are all about.